19, 05, 14, 20, 09, 14, 05, 12. That's a number, 16 digits. It's been sitting at the bottom of the Starfield character creator since the game launched in 2023. Every player, every save, every single time you booted it up, same number. It's labeled employee number. It looks like set dressing. Kind of fake corporate garbage a studio drops in so the world feels lived in. So take the pairs, turn each pair into whatever letter sits at that spot in the alphabet. 19 is S, 5 is E, 14 is N, Sentinel, Sentinel, which is the capital city of Hammerfell, which is, oh, would you look at that, the exact region everybody's been guessing The Elder Scrolls 6 takes place in since 2018. It was on screen for 3 years, millions of people made a character, nobody looked down. There's also a giant inflatable rat in the story, and I'll get to him, that's a fun one. Okay, rewind to Monday. Asha Sharma, who runs Xbox now, goes out to Bethesda Game Studios in Rockville, Maryland. She posts about it afterward, says she watched a live playthrough of The Elder Scrolls 6 that morning, says the scale and grandeur are incredible, the story is even greater. And in that post, she writes the title out as The Elder Scrolls 6, followed by 8 asterisks. 8, not a vague gesture, 8 characters counted on purpose. Then Bethesda Game Studios replies to her with the same 8 asterisks. That's the whole announcement, that's it. That's the news. A woman said a word she wouldn't say, and then a company confirmed the number of letters in the word she wouldn't say. And the internet lost its entire mind, which, to be fair to the internet, is a reasonable response after 8 years of absolutely nothing. The guesses come in immediately. Hammerfell, 10 letters, dead on arrival. Redguard, taken. Dominion, Starfall. Belfera, High Rock, if you're generous with the space. Somebody threw out Skyrim 2, which does technically hit 8 if you count the space bar. And honestly, I respect the commitment. Then a guy on Reddit posts the Starfield thing, and this is where it stops being a guessing game. Because here's what the community has actually assembled at this point, and I want you to picture the corkboard, the red string, the whole true crime basement setup. 1, the number. 190514-2009140512, sitting in Starfield since launch, spelling Sentinel through the world's simplest cipher. 2, Sentinel is a real place in the series. It's the capital of Hammerfell, and Bethesda names these games after places. Daggerfall City, Morrowind Province, Skyrim Province. There's a pattern, and it is not subtle. 3, and this is the one that got me, the internal code name for the Elder Scrolls 6 at Bethesda was Project Guardian. A sentinel is a guardian. That is the definition of the word. That is what the word means. So 4, the 2018 announcement teaser was a single shot of a coastline and some hills that everybody has spent 8 years insisting is Hammerfell. And then 5, Michael Kirkbride shows up. If you don't know the name, Kirkbride is one of the people who built the lore of the series. Morrowind, Redguard, chunks of the weird metaphysical stuff the community has been arguing about for 25 years. He hasn't worked at Bethesda in a very long time. He's also very obviously still in the loop. Someone on Reddit says, it's Sentinel. Kirkbride replies, one word, yep. That's it. That's his contribution. A guy who has no reason to weigh in on random name speculation, weighed in on random name speculation, and the entire fandom read it as a signed affidavit. I want to sit with the actual shape of this for a second because I don't think anybody's saying it out loud. The most concrete information we have gotten about the biggest RPG on the planet in 8 years is a count of letters, a 3-year-old Easter egg, and one guy saying, yep, that's the news cycle. That's what generated a week of headlines. Every outlet ran it. I'm running it. Look where we are. Elder Scrolls 6 was announced June 10th, 2018, a 30-something second teaser at E3, a camera moving over a landscape, a logo. Skyrim came out in November 2011, so between Skyrim launching and that teaser playing, you've got about 6.5 years. The teaser is now 8 years old. The wait for information about the game has been going on longer than the wait that produced the announcement of the game. Todd Howard's most recent update on it from an interview last November was that it's still a long way off. His words, he also said, and I want to give him credit here because I think he means it, I'm preaching patience. I don't want fans to feel anxious. He was then asked whether GTA 6, Elder Scrolls 6, or Fallout 5 comes out first. He said he's rooting for GTA 6, as we probably all are. The man in charge of the game is rooting for the other game. That's not a dunk. That's just an honest read of the timeline, and it's the funniest possible way to deliver it. Okay, so let's talk about why this works, not why the puzzle is cool, why the silence works, because the silence is kind of the product. Think about what Bethesda has spent this week. 0, not one asset, no trailer, no screenshot, no gameplay, no window, No platforms confirmed, no name. The literal name of the game is still redacted. In exchange for that nothing, they got a fandom that spent 72 hours doing forensic analysis on a 16-digit number, 300 articles, a resurrected Reddit thread from 2023, and a retired writer getting quoted in international press for saying, yep. That is not an accident, and it's also not a failure. That's the machine functioning exactly as designed. When a studio goes quiet for 8 years, the community doesn't stop talking, it starts talking harder. It builds the wiki, it makes the video essays, it maps the coastline and the teaser against in-game geography, it does the marketing, for free by the way, at higher intensity than any campaign Microsoft could buy, and it does it forever because there's no release date to end it. Silence isn't the absence of a campaign. For a franchise this size, silence is a campaign, and it's the cheapest one on the menu. Which brings me to the timing. Sharma didn't post that on a random Tuesday. She posted it while standing inside a building where Microsoft has spent this year cutting 3,200 jobs out of the Xbox division, 1,600 in July alone. At id Software, the Doom Studio, 136 positions. At Bethesda Game Studios, Austin itself, another 22. 8 asterisks moved that off the front page for about 4 days. I'm going to step out of the bit for a minute. Somebody typed that number in. Think about that. Same person sitting at a desk working on a game about space had to open a file and enter 1905142009140512 deliberately for a screen almost nobody would look at twice, knowing that it might sit there for years doing nothing, knowing they never get to say a word about it. And then it shipped, and the reveal came in 2023 and nobody noticed, and they had to just be normal about it. Read the threads, watch the guesses go by, say nothing. That's a person who loved this thing enough to plant a flag for strangers they'd never meet, and then wait 3 years in total silence to see if anybody found it. Reasonable odds that some of those people were in that building on Monday. Reasonable odds some of them weren't because of the layoffs, because outside while Sharma was inside watching the playthrough, union members from the CWA had inflated a giant rat on the lawn. His name is Scabby. He shows up at labor protests. He was sitting there on Picard Drive, staring at the office while chants of "Who's the rat?" Microsoft went up in the background, and planted in the grass around him hundreds of red flags. Reports put it near 800, one flag for every game worker Microsoft laid off this year. The union statement was that they refuse to let executives forget what game studios are actually made of. One of the workers, a technical producer named Nathan Hahn, described how it escalated. They put posters up around the office. Management told them the posters couldn't face outward so nobody outside could see, so they brought in balloons and kept them inside the cubicles. Then a separate group of already laid off developers planted the flags outside. So let's read that back. Management's response to posters was to specify which direction the posters were allowed to face. Sharma's post about the visit mentions the scale, mentions the grandeur, mentions the story, does not mention the rat. The scale and grandeur were at that moment 800 flags and a 2-story rodent, and they didn't make the tweet. All right, so coming back up, here's what I actually think you should do with this, because I don't think the correct response is cynicism. Go look at the number. Seriously, boot Starfield, open the character creator, look at the bottom of the screen. It's still there. It'll be there forever now. Somebody put that there for you, not for Microsoft, not for a quarterly earnings call, not to move a metric. Some developer hit a word in the save file for a game that hadn't been announced yet because they thought it would be funny when you found it. That part is real. The 8 asterisks are marketing, the rat is labor, the number in the character creator is just a person being a person at work, and it survived all of it. And also, for the record, my guess is Sentinel. I think Kirkbride knows, I think the code is real, I think we're getting the Elder Scrolls 6 Sentinel, and I think it's coming out sometime around the heat death of the universe. Shadow dropped on a Tuesday with no warning, because Todd Howard has openly said the Oblivion remastered Shadow Drop was a test run, and I believe him about that more than I believe anybody about anything else in this story. And quick thing before you go, channel memberships. $2 get you a badge, emojis, videos early, and a vote on what I cover next. 4 get you members only shorts, plus a voice message reply on your comment, perk or threat, your call. 7 makes you an executive producer, priority replies, and we shoot a 5 to 10 minute interview that goes up on this channel. Not a story, not a short, a real video with your name on it, sitting here forever, or until YouTube wipes it off of YouTube accidentally. Join button's right there, or don't, I'll be here either way. And if it's found you while you were supposed to be paying attention on a video call, sorry about your meeting, like it, subscribe if you want more of this. And our comment question of the day, what's the longest you've ever waited for a sequel that actually came out? Not one that got canceled, one that showed up. How long did you wait? And be honest with me, was it worth it? Mine is Kingdom Hearts 3, and that's a whole nother story and video for a whole nother time. And I'll see you in the next one. Kyler, out.